And so the problem with that is that commercial dairy is synonymous with violence. That's the fact. I mean, you cannot separate commercial dairy with the meat industry. I mean, they're really one and the same, because most of the meat people eat are dairy cattle that have ceased production, you know, because they can't produce any milk anymore because of just exhaustion or whatever.
So they've got one last thing they can keep.
One last thing, after 2 or 3 years, first of all, they're treated horribly. The calf is taken away at birth. If it's a male calf, it's immediately put in crates, some sort of contained environment where it is kept out of the sunlight. It's fed a high iron diet so that the meat does not become very red. And essentially, this is what veal is, and it's a very horrible thing. The calves cry, the mothers cry. They're just given birth, and then the calf is taken away.
So there's engineering, and that, but in a very violent
way. So the cows are abused. And what to speak of the fact that most of these dairy cattle, they're artificially inseminated. It's just disgusting on so many levels. They're fed horrible diets. They're meant to be grass eaters. They're fed grains. The grains are combined with all sorts of protein substances which come from ground up cows, antibiotics, hormones to increase the weight and the milk production and so on. So obviously the milk they produce is contaminated. So you've got that aspect, and then the fact that the cows are abused. So the whole industry is just so demonic in so many ways. And so the problem I have with that is that supporting that industry is sort of really philosophically...
It's condoning the violence.
It's condoning the violence because, the fact is, it's a business. As far as the dairy industry is concerned, it's business. And each cow is simply a unit. And if the unit's not producing, it's expelled. It's cut from the, it's cut from the balance sheet. We've got to get rid of that because it's not producing.
And then it's cut physically.
Cut physically. So that's the problem I have with that. So I made a decision about 12, 15 years ago that I didn't want to buy or have anything to do with the commercial dairy industry again. Now, I don't have a problem with milk that's coming from a protected cow, where the cow's giving the milk with love. Now, a cow has a natural ability to stop giving milk if it wants to. Like if you're hand milking a cow, the cow can say, okay, I'm going to stop.
Thanks.
It can literally turn the tap off. It has that ability, and it does it. And I've milked cows, and I know what it's like. I've had that experience where I've milked a cow for 20 minutes, suddenly the milk stops, you walk away, the calf comes along and drinks for another half an hour.
So saying have enough of milking, I've got a child to feed.
I've got a child to feed. Okay, you're one of my children. We're milking the cow's turning around licking our head as if we're one of her children. She's happy giving us the milk, but at a certain point in time she's okay, that's enough. We walk away, we've got a bucket full of milk, and then she continues to give milk to the calf. I've had that experience. So what does that say? It says that the cow's giving the milk with love. That's a lot different to what we find in the dairy industry, where not only is the cow abused, mistreated, disrespected, but the milk is forcibly extracted from the milk. Mechanically. So the cow has no choice. It cannot volunteer that milk. The milk is not given with love. It's given...
You can't have a loving relationship.
You can't have a loving relationship. Exactly. So that's a problem right there. And that has to be, Hare Krishnas have to consider that. And also vegans have to consider it, because a lot of vegans have this idea, well, we're not meant to, drink dairy from animals because we're the only species that takes dairy from another animal. But the fact is, people have lived symbiotically with cows for tens of thousands of years. This is not a new idea. I mean, you can't erase that history. It's something that's gone on. So there's obviously some basis to that, right? If the cow is treated like a family member and there's that loving bond, that milk is actually beneficial to you. So that's the only type of milk that I will consider, where I can get the milk that's given with love. Otherwise, I'm essentially a vegan, but I don't like to call myself a vegan. I call myself a prashadarian. And so, by definition, Prashadarian is someone that only eats food that is non-violent, that is pure in nature,
And
that
offered.
is prepared with love, given with love. Yeah.
So you're travelling around the world a little bit. So you're going to start a world tour or some sort of thing like that. What's the plans?
Yeah, well, I've travelled over the years. I've visited like 54 countries, and a lot of that's to do with the charity work. I've travelled, given lectures, trained volunteers to improve their program or start new programs and so on. I've raised a lot of money for Food for Life around the world, millions of dollars through online donations and so on. I've coordinated a lot of emergency relief, some of the biggest in the world, tsunami in 2004, 2005. Haiti food relief, Japan food relief. So Food for Life Global that's another role we play. Not only are we a support office, providing guidelines and raising funds, but when there's an emergency, we're a central point of contact. And so we help to coordinate volunteers and funds and sort of structure the relief program. So when I travel, I'm doing lectures for Food for Life, training volunteers, but now because of the Food Yoga program, I'm also teaching food yoga, doing workshops on the philosophy of food yoga, which essentially is a lifestyle program, teaching people how to connect with nature, listening to their body, becoming more in tune with the essential energies of the world, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, listening to their body so that they can create a diet which is just right for them, but of course giving them knowledge about the benefits of a plant-based diet, eating more fruits and vegetables, drinking more water. So obviously highlighting that because that's what a human body's ideally designed for. But allowing some freedom because everyone's totally unique. Every circumstance is unique. So I'm not a fanatic. I'm allowing people to evolve as they need to evolve. They do need guidance, they do need knowledge, and what I'm teaching is based on very hard scientific facts based on many thousands of years of tradition. So I believe it is very universal and very applicable to pretty much everyone. So that's there, and I'm also teaching raw food gourmet, which is a lot of fun. People love it. And with those workshops, which I just recently did one in Melbourne, I'm teaching just the basics of raw food, giving people an idea of how to combine foods to make them fun and exciting without cooking. That's all. But then encouraging them to create their own recipes, giving them the fundamentals.
It seems to me though that, like myself, almost being forced to think and respond for ourselves what is our true mission in life that satisfies us spiritually. Has that happened to you? Somewhat similar to that?
I believe so, and I think we all have to find. There was a book I read recently, The Alchemy of Voice, and one of the key messages that he gives in that. First of all, he's a voice coach, so he teaches this idea of finding your signature note, and he believes when you find your signature note in the way you speak, the way you sing, and so on, you will. It's sort of like resonance, it's like tuning into your unique resonance, your unique frequency. He says you'll become more balanced, more peaceful, your expressions, your words will become more powerful, more effective, more influential. Finding your signature note. We can apply that in everything. Finding your calling. And it seems to be another great educator in the field of intention. The lady who wrote The Field, The Intention Experiment, Lynn McTaggart, she talks about this, about finding your homing device, like finding what is that thing that really, really motivates you. What is the thing that makes you want to get up out of bed? It's essential we have to find that, because when you find that, it doesn't matter what happens in life, you're going to be okay, because you're going to know where you're meant to be. Even if sometimes you're over here or you're over there, you're going to know generally what path you need to take. You've got to find that path, that passion. It's so critical, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't bother to find that. They just give their power up to the establishment, give their power up to the man.
You think for me?
Yeah, you think for me. Television becomes their guru, and it's very sad. And I think the quicker we can turn TV off, the quicker we can think for ourselves, to do our own research, to really get inside ourselves, listen to our inner voice, start to tune into what feels right for us. Taking information, obviously, it doesn't mean you ignore the guidance of the great sages, the elevated souls, the pure men and women of this world, but you still have to assimilate it. You still have to apply those teachings, their realizations to your circumstance. You have to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't, and they just blindly follow. And even we see that within Hare Krishna movement, where people have been applying themselves to that path. 30 years later, they still feel very lost. And it's very sad that they do, because they feel like they've been very obedient, they've followed the rules and regulations, they've followed sort of a certain way of living, but inside they don't feel like they've found themselves. They feel like something's missing, like they haven't.
I can't get no satisfaction.
Yeah, there's something missing there, and so they've sort of given up their uniqueness. And this gets back to my earlier point. You've got to understand you are unique, and you've been put on this earth to do something unique. You have a unique contribution to this world. You've got to find what that is. That should be the motivation.
Be who you are, because everyone else is taken.
Yes, exactly.
That's called self-realization.
Self-realization. Don't try to be like someone else. You know, and we see that all over the world. I want to look like her. I want to look like him. I want to speak like him, dress like him, dress like her. It's just so sad. You're wonderful as you are. You're perfect, actually. Now just find what motivates you and run with it. And be happy that that's what you're meant to do.
Priyavrata, the food yogi, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.